morning, everyone. Welcome to the, well, as soon as we're online, there we go. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, August 22nd, 2016.
Commissioner Repenning, James Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Aida Valencia, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Sharon Caragani, LA Sanitation.
Good morning, Kendrick Okuda, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we have a speaker card under General Public Comment, no commentary under the Neighborhood Council, and no speaker cards under the regular agenda items for today's agenda.
Okay, we'll close commentary under the Neighborhood Council category. Under General Public Comment, Kathy Deldon. Good morning.
Kathy Deladani. I'm president of the Tarzana Improvement Association, which manages the Tarzana Safari Walk. We've managed it for over 15 years. I'm just here today because of our concern about the banner ordinance for street lighting. I've worked closely with street lighting over the last few years, but with the new software that went in, it's very difficult to maintain our identity and a marketing approach to our bid. We have a contract with the city to do this, to identify our bid, to promote our bid, and to market it. And it's very difficult with this new banner ordinance, or with the banner ordinance and the new software. So I'm just asking that you take that street lighting and the board take a look at the banner ordinance and how it relates to business improvement districts. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Any other general public comment cards, Mr. Campos?
No, that is it.
Then we'll close general public comment. Let's go to agenda item number 1, Bureau of Engineering and Council District 8. Recommending that the board authorize $120,000 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $370,000 and authorize the city engineer to issue task work order number 2, it's $70,000, to provide the necessary traffic control pursuant to the Los Angeles Department of Transportation approved plan, and task work order number 3 of $50,000 to construct a new maintenance hole in connection with the Rodeo Road Sewer Rehabilitation Pilot Project as part of the construction services contract. Mr. Irvine. Good morning,
yes,
sir.
Thank you, President James. I'm here for the Bureau of Engineering requesting that the board authorize $120,000 in additional contingencies and to approve the revised construction budget from $250,000 to $370,000 for this project. As President James mentioned, we have 2 task work orders, one for the traffic control and the other one for the construction of a new maintenance hole. I'll start with the new maintenance hole first. We proposed for the lining to go from one maintenance hole to the upstream maintenance hole, and one of the maintenance holes was partially constructed in the past but was never constructed all the way up to the surface. So as part of our identifying this project and having them do the work for the maintenance hole, they cannot do that with the maintenance hole not being there. So task work order number 3 is reconstructing the maintenance hole, bringing it up to the surface. The second task work order number 2 is for additional monies that is involved with the traffic control. When the original plans came in, the subcontractor had looked at using simple traffic controls. Well, as part of the review and the extension and the time of this project, we came up with K-rails restriping, which is additional cost to the contract. So that's why we're here in front of the board requesting additional approval of monies for this contract.
Commissioner Davis.
I wanted to ask just better understanding of our policy as it relates to maintenance holes. Is it within policy that we would not complete that maintenance hole some time ago? when we had it, and how did that occur?
I'm not sure why the maintenance hole was never constructed. It was identified. It could have been that we looked at it and said, oh, well, it was a maintenance hole in theory, but was never constructed or paved over, because we've had several maintenance holes have been paved over, and you go out there and you say, here's where it should be. Contractor digs down and removes the asphalt and says, oh, there's the maintenance hole. In this particular case, I haven't found any records why the maintenance hole was never brought up to the surface.
Well, my concern would be that it is true that we did need this maintenance hole, and now we are doing the maintenance hole. So I have no knowledge about what our past understanding was, but now we're paying for a maintenance hole probably for which we should have had some assessment initially. You know what I'm saying? And so now we are, doing what we need to do, but I just thought that operationally that would be important for us to look at.
Yes.
Well, and this is also, I would just add, an indicator that the cost of constructing or doing the additional work that's needed for the maintenance hole that needs to be in place, essentially, well, it more than doubles when you add the personnel costs of dealing with the traffic detour and routing plan, because that part of it's $70,000. The construction is $50,000. I recognize that we may not go through all that money on these two items, but that does essentially double your cost.
Yeah, and I also want to say, just as a rule, the later you wait on construction, the more it usually doubles, unless this is an exception in cost, which I doubt. So my point would be that in evaluation and assessment, it is important to look very deeply the first time we have some question in terms of what our solutions are, and act then, because every time we wait later, we pay, the city that is, pays more. So anyway, I just thought that you're right on that, President.
Anything else? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, as much as we're not that excited about this one. Is there a second? By Commissioner Jacinto and Commissioner Repenting. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Irvine.
Thank you, President James.
Agenda item number 2, recommending that the board in Council District 11 authorize the city engineer to sole source Fisher control valves with actuators and Walworth plug valves, and authorize the city engineer to use the construction services contract and issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $852,000 on this, in connection with the capital improvement project at Hyperion Treatment Plant Digester Gas Piping System Controls. Amy So, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Amy So from the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. We are requesting authorization to sole source equipment and utilize the Cisco contract for the Hyperion Digester Gas Piping System Controls. The scope of this project will replace existing equipment in kind. The project proposes to procure and install 6 3-inch Fisher brand high-pressure digester gas flow control valves with actuators, 6 18-inch Fisher brand low-pressure digester gas butterfly valve actuators, and 5 12-inch Walworth brand lubricated plug valves. The total cost for this equipment is estimated to be $425,000, and the total cost for the project is estimated to be $852,000, and that includes a 20% contingency. To provide some background for this project, at Hyperion, sludge is sent to the digesters, where the sludge is mixed and heat is applied in order to kill off pathogens. And as a result of this digestion process, gas is produced. The gas is mostly methane, about 65%, and carbon dioxide, about 35%. And Hyperion produces a large quantity of this gas, about 7.5 million cubic feet per day of this gas is produced, and it's produced continuously. The process cannot be stopped. Under normal operating conditions, the digester gas is piped to the gas compressor facility, where it's compressed to a high pressure, and then it's piped to the Department of Water and Power's Scattergood facility for energy generation. If the compressor facility is not able to accept all of the gas, if there's a power outage or there's a failure of the facility, then the low pressure gas needs to be routed to the Hyperion flare system where it's burned off. And if scattergood is unable to accept gas, if there's a routine or emergency maintenance, or there's a demand for electricity that does not meet all of the gas amount, then the surplus gas from the high pressure gas header must be routed also to the Hyperion flares to be burned off. And this routing of the surplus gas ensures that there's no buildup of excess combustible gas. Also, the flares ensure that we're burning off the gas in compliance with AQMD regulations to ensure public safety and that there's no hazardous gas escaping into the atmosphere. So the control system for this gas piping consists of various valves and actuators, and I've passed around the same photo that appears in the board report. It's an example of a low-pressure digester gas valve actuator. What appears to be sort of a steering wheel up at the top is a manual control for the valve. Below that sits a diaphragm, which is controlled pneumatically with air. So as air pushes, that diaphragm expands. It pushes on a shaft below it, which turns a gear, which moves another shaft, which opens and closes the butterfly valve inside of the piping. And so all of these valves and actuators they have a lot of instrument air lines and electrical wiring associated with them. Those are the skinnier lines in the photograph. And all of this equipment is monitored and controlled remotely by the plant's control system. The valves and actuators are approximately 30 years old, and they require urgent replacement. And replacing this equipment is critical to ensure a safe and reliable operation at Hyperion. By sole sourcing the valves and actuators, we will be able to replace the equipment in kind. This will minimize costs and time associated if we were to use another brand of equipment with having to modify piping, pipe supports, and associated electrical and instrumentation wiring. We're also, by sole sourcing, getting the quality of product that we want to provide to the plant. Using a low bid procurement process may not necessarily result in the highest quality and reliability of a product. And the operators at Hyperion have been using this product for 30 years. They've been trained to use this type of device safely. It's also essential to utilize the Cisco contract mechanism to expedite replacement of this equipment. The size of the project is small and it's urgent in nature. It would be prohibitively time-consuming to use a regular conventional bid and award process. And in addition, the DGUP project, which is the Digester Gas Utilization Project, a multi-million-dollar project, is scheduled to start up in a few months. Providing these replacement of these equipment, the controls and the valves and the actuators, will ensure that we're providing that last missing link to ensure reliable operation of the DGUP project as well. So therefore, we're requesting that the city engineer, or the city engineer is recommending that we get your authorization to sole source this equipment and to utilize the Cisco contract.
So it would be fair to say in the summary of the sole source justification that safety would be a big factor as well as time and money, correct?
Yes, it would be.
Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. So thank you for that thorough report. So the in-kind means, for the public knowledge, in-kind means replacing with like equipment, with basically the same equipment.
Yes, replacing in-kind means replacing with like equipment. On the high-pressure and low-pressure gas headers, the existing flow control valves are Fisher brand. Mm-hmm. And on the high-pressure gas header, the existing plug valves are Walworth brand. So it would be replacing in kind.
And to that point, that's where we save the money, is we don't change anything out. You don't have to change systems, although there is a variability in what, if we went out to a low bid process in terms of what we would get. So we want to use time and money to expedite this so we can be ready for DGUP and that whole larger project.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, excellent job this morning. Is there a motion on agenda item number 2 by Commissioner Jacinto? I'll second it along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, the requested acceptance of an on-call contract for erosion control fiscal year 15 and 16 citywide for various hillside streets, completed by John S. Meek Company, Incorporated. Mr. Smith on number 3.
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration, General Services Division. This contract was awarded on December 1st, 2015 off the on-call geotechnical structural emergency list. The Contract Act provided for erosion control measures, corrective measures in a number of locations, primarily in the form of soil removal and bulkhead repairs. The work was completed April 25th, 2016. There are no disputed funds withheld, and there are no outstanding property owner complaints associated with this contract. Due to the emergency nature of the contract, there were no specific outreach requirements, and therefore the Bureau recommends acceptance at this time.
I don't have any questions regarding agenda item number 3. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3. Any objection? Or is there a second? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issues seeing it forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Chris, would you see me after the meeting about the erosion control contract? I have a question for you on another item. I think all that we have left is the approval of our meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, August 3rd, 2016. Is there a second to my motion to approve those meeting minutes? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll approve those meeting minutes. Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned, everyone. Thank you.